Fantasy managers, hello and welcome back to the FPL Addicts Game Week 4 Preview Show for the Fantasy Premier League 2021 and 2022 season, powered by Esports Live and brought to you by our sponsor, Bonus Bank. So the international break now edges closer to ending. There's just a couple of games left and there's no time for rest for FPL managers such as myself and the rest of today's panel. So we've got the usual suspects. We've got Jack from Esports Live. We've got Statman Dave, my right-hand man, Ollie Walker-Peel, our man on the ground from the UK, Chris Reed, and our very own FPL guru, the one and only Matt Day from FPL Addicts. So Matt, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad, Elliot. Just cannot wait for this international break to be over and get back stuck into to FPL this weekend. Yeah,
there's been a fair bit of transfer activity and stuff that we discussed last week, and not too much has changed now. But the overlooming arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo and a lot of other big names is a lot to excite us. So just game week 4, we've had a lot of time to prepare for it. Are you ready for it, Guru?
I'd like to say I was, but I guess we'll find out Friday night. I am gearing up for it, but yeah, just got to wait on all these injuries. I think a lot's happened overnight with international football and the injuries and the potential COVID and players not being able to get back to England and stuff. So yeah, I'd like to say I'm ready, but probably we'll know more on Friday during the Friday night pod.
Yeah, I think the Argentina excuse from Emi Martinez that the filler game was played in Estonia was probably my highlight of the international break. Thought he could sneak past the authorities, but was caught in the end, which I'm sure has thrown a spanner in the works for a couple of FPL managers. But just a quick reminder that if you haven't joined our community, you still can. You can find out all about it at e-sportslive.com.au/FPL Addicts, and you can also find our community Discord server there, which is full of FPL insight and knowledge. Details on how to join that are also in the caption below. And just finally, we've had some fantastic reviews recently, and we'd love it if you could keep it up. So if you're listening on Apple, please take a minute to rate and review the podcast. And if you're watching along on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like so that you never miss an upload, and you can help other FPL enthusiasts find the podcast as well. But we won't take another minute out of your time. We will get right into the game week preview. So there's a lot of exciting fixtures in game week 4. And after being starved of Premier League football for too long, what feels like an eternity this international break, it is back. So I've brought the fixtures up on the screen there. Ollie, I ask you every week first, so I'll go to you. Out of the fixtures on the screen there for game week 4, which ones really excite you most in sort of an FPL sense?
Obviously good to be here as usual, and welcome to you all. I think Leicester Man City for me, obviously two sides that are right at the top of the Premier League consistently now. Obviously Leicester, their rapid rise, obviously, in the 2016 or 2015-16 season, they've been able to sort of maintain that now, consistently challenging in and around the top 4. Should have been in the Champions League last couple of seasons, obviously not. And Man City, we're not what they're capable of. You could say the Riyad Mahrez derby, obviously the Man City winger will be playing against his former club. I think there's a lot of FPL assets in here for both sides. You've got the likes of Mahrez, as I mentioned. You've got the likes of Jack Grealish, Ferran Torres, who was so good last game week, what felt like 370 years ago now. Even for Leicester, you've got the likes of Vardy, who obviously play for them. You've got even Yuri Tielemans as well. So I think on both sides you've got some brilliant assets, and it should be a great game as well. On top of that.
Yeah, and I do recall, the first meeting that these two sides had last season. It was at the Etihad. This time it is at the King Power Stadium. But Leicester did sort of run riot that day. Jamie Vardy got a couple, I remember, and Yuri Tielemans from the spot as well. And a James Maddison screamer, I think it was. So there was a lot of FPL managers that were pretty happy coming off that game last season. And I think you're right. There's a lot of Man City assets that I'm sure people aren't going to want to rotate it out, especially the Guru as he still holds on to his Grealish. I think, I will obviously touch more on the transfers and potential outcomings and incomings from our teams later, but I'll go to you now, Dave. Out of the fixtures on the screen, is there any other ones that excite you?
Yeah, probably for me, I'd say United and Newcastle. Like for me, that's probably going to define my week. If Fernandes, Varane, and Greenwood can all hit, then that's probably going to dictate, whether I can beat the average and turn my bit of a form slump around.
Yeah, and the Cristiano Ronaldo, what a massive name coming into the Premier League. Do you think he's going to get the start for Man United? Do you think he's going to play?
Not sure if he'll necessarily get the start, but he'll certainly get a few minutes towards the end of the game, and we'll see how he goes. And but I'm sure in the next 2 or 3 weeks, he'll start getting the full 90 minutes.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions on the last Friday night's podcast with myself and the Guru, and a lot of them were based around Cristiano Ronaldo's name. So there was a lot of FPL managers that have been transferring him in, and Bruno Fernandes is the most transferred out player this week. So I'm sure a lot of people are trying to make way for the number 7 now and getting rid of Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, as you said, Man United Newcastle should be a good one. The Guru before, when he was doing his little notes, he put down Newcastle as a team to watch. There's definitely going to be an upset this week with Newcastle coming away from Old Trafford with all 3 points and a Lan Saint-Maximin masterclass by the looks of things. But no, I definitely think that Man United Newcastle is a very, very good pick. Reedy, your pick of the choice now. There's still 8 fixtures to choose from. Which one excites you, mate?
Well, it's probably going to be Chelsea Villa. After the 2 games that the guys have mentioned, the City Leicester ones should be a good game. But Chelsea got a brilliant squad, made some great signings. Lukaku could be an injury doubt, but if he's not and if he does start, I fancy Chelsea to kind of get a few goals on that one. So late kickoff I think as well possibly. So it'll be a good one to see. Goals, a lot of tackles in that one. I expect there to be a good few bookings, feisty one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Aston Villa, as I mentioned, probably going to be without Emi Martinez. Do you think, it's going to sort of be a rollover for Chelsea in this one?
I wouldn't say a rollover as such, but, the likes of potentially Buendia being out as well as Martinez. They've not got Grealish anymore. Ings is in there, and obviously Ollie Watkins is there to come back for them. So it just depends whether they're fresh enough. A lot of these international games and flights and things like that can take it out of players. So it just depends how much they've got in the locker, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, Romelu Lukaku and stuff, the injuries there is going to be very interesting to see how that one pans out. And then Jack, the last pick of the fixtures today that, people out there should look out for. If you had to pick one of the remaining 7, which one are you going for?
Well, that thriller between Everton and Burnley. No, I'm only joking. I'm going to probably Leeds Liverpool. I think, Liverpool is, the players have got on the pitch. It's Salah, obviously FPL god that he is. Expecting a few goals in that game. Not too sure on the head-to-head record over the last couple of years, but the last two seasons, or last season. I'll have to have a check on that. I might just try and quickly bring it up. But yeah, they've got a lot of assets in there. Like Salah, I'm just going to be counting on him, but I'm got my eye on Patrick Bamford for the future week. So be interesting to see if he can hit after making his England debut. But yeah, I think looking forward to that game. I'm sure Reedy will be too. Just looking at last season's fixtures, they got a draw in that away fixture for Liverpool last season. So yeah, hoping they can be firing a bit more there and Salah can carry us through.
Yeah, and he did have that massive return against Leeds at the very first game of the season, I think it was, for Liverpool. Where
That's 4-3. Yeah.
I think it was 2 goals and an assist. Or it might have even been a hat-trick for Salah that game. I just remember double-digit hauls all round for him. I think he was my captain on the first day. So it was a great way to introduce Leeds into the Premier League. I'm sure it was for them. But I think it's a very good choice. And as I said, there's an abundance of games to look out for in game week 4. But they're sort of the main ones to take away from it. But Guru, we do have a live comment. And he asks what to do with Souček, keep or sell. He was a very hot prodigy last season in Fantasy Premier League. One of the very few CDMs that people would actually want in their team and that would actually get them points, but hasn't really hit the heights this season. He scored opening day against my team Newcastle. But if you had him in your team now, would you keep him or would you sell?
If he was in my team now, without wildcarding, I'd probably keep. But if I'm going to wildcard, I'd probably get rid of him. So if you're using your wildcard, then probably want to move him on. There's some better players at the moment for that same price. But if you don't have too many transfers handy, someone that you can keep around, he's still a good FPL asset to have. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, he scored a lot of goals last season and just really hasn't been able to hit the heights yet this season. But we are only 3 games in and he is that enabler type of midfielder. But on the discussion of wildcards, we haven't really had a chance to talk to him in person about his wildcard. He popped in on Friday and started telling us that he was going to be playing his wild card. But Ollie, there's been a couple of outgoings and a lot of incomings in your team. So the wild card, it's been an age-long debate that a lot of people have put in their opinion on Twitter and everything. But you have decided to play your wild card. What was your thought process behind playing your wild card?
Well, my thought process initially was, strikers with the likes of Ronaldo back into the league. Kane I didn't have to start with, so I wanted them both in. But I feel like my decision's somewhat vindicated now with all the quarantine. Obviously, with the whole Argentina squad, we don't know if there's any more players that might have those problems. But my team at the moment, I'm still chopping and changing who to go with. I really want Trent Alexander-Arnold still. I haven't been able to fit him in though, so I've gone with Andy Robertson at the moment for 7 million. I do want a Liverpool fullback for sure. My team at the moment's looking class. I've kept some of the players that have, made me start my season so well. Sergio Reguilon, he was a player I saw on Twitter that was like, a popular player that you should go without. I can't at the moment. He's been too good for me to start the season, so I've got to keep him in. Might be able to bring. Could we bring my team up just to see what I've gone with?
Absolutely, mate. Was about to ask you the same thing. I was going to say, if you can share your screen, I can most definitely bring your wildcard team up on screen, and there it is. So just you can walk us through it now, mate, that we can see it.
So I'll go to my bench first because I want to keep that 15-man squad. So I've benched Robert Sanchez. He's still in my squad, but I do like Watford's fixture against Wolves, and even if they don't keep a clean sheet, Bachmann has been making a lot of saves. Daniel Bachmann, I think he got points against Tottenham, got 4 points, and they conceded. So if he can keep clean sheet and make saves, big points there. Davinson Sanchez is out with obviously quarantining. I was going to go with him. I've gone with Eric Dyer alongside him. I know Tottenham have got a few centre-backs out, but I like their defences so far to start the season. A few people have said they've been lucky in keeping those clean sheets, but I'm going to go with them anyway because it's been what I've trusted. Like I do want Trent, haven't been able to go with him though, so I'm going to settle with Andy Robertson for now. If I can find a way to Trent, I will. That's there at the moment. And Tino Livramento, one of the signings of the summer in real life for me from Southampton, from Chelsea, hasn't been able to get an attacking return yet or a clean sheet, but I think you've got to have him. 4.1 million. I think he's a must-have. Decent fixture against West Ham. I know they've started well, but maybe you could get an attacking return there. Salah we've talked about against Leeds. I think that's a brilliant fixture for him. Benrahma, I wanted that Benrahma-Antonio combination in. Obviously with European football for West Ham coming up, that might deteriorate a little bit, but I still think the quality that those two players have got. Antonio's banging goals in. Benrahma's providing assists and scoring, so I've got to go with him. I like the look of Damari Gray, to be fair. Obviously new signing from Leicester, 5.6 million. I think if you don't go with him, a lot of players might not miss the boat on him, but got a fixture against the Dingles this week, so I think he'll do all right. And that front three, just absolute goals in that front three. I tell you what, look at that. Antonio, CR7 himself with the armband on. He's playing Newcastle, so he'll probably score about 15. And then Harry Kane alongside him, early kickoff. I've got 3 Tottenham players. I think they'll get a result at Selhurst Park. So pretty happy with that team. 15-man squad, as I said, and I don't regret playing my wild card. Because I think that team going forward, even though I've had a good start, that team has the potential. I'm not saying that it will, because I'm not going to get cocky, but that team has the potential to obliterate some teams in this mini league. So hopefully I can stay up the top.
Well, you had a really good start, first 3 game weeks in. So you have decided to play your wild card. And, as you said, that front three is ridiculously strong. Antonio, Ronaldo, Kane. You'd like to hope that there would be an abundance of goals between those 3, pretty much every single week, no matter who they're playing. 3 pretty fixture-proof players at the minute. Antonio definitely putting his name out there and, persuading a lot of managers that he's pretty essential, being the highest scorer so far. So, the wild card, Ollie, I just want to ask again, was the premise of it, was it Ronaldo? Do you think you sort of got dragged into a little bit of the Ronaldo hype, do you think?
Well, when there was rumours of Ronaldo, because obviously the game week or the deadline lifted before the transfer deadline day, so I always had the feeling that Ronaldo was going to City and that I wanted to have him in if he was going to come to the Premier League. Obviously the U-turn, he went to United. I'm like, I've got to have him in now. I have to have him in now. I also wanted Harry Kane. Obviously, hasn't been amazing to start the season, but I always planned early on in the season to wildcard early and get him in. He obviously doesn't start the season too well usually, but once we get out of August, as we are now in September, he's going to hit his straps. He's going to score goals. And then Benrahma and Antonio didn't want to miss the boat. So So yeah, pretty vindicated in the wildcard decision, I think.
Ollie, just got a quick question for you, mate. What's your plans for fixture swing? So say game week 7, we've got this big Chelsea fixture swing. Do you have plans to get a couple of their players in? Or are you pretty happy with this sort of side long term?
Well, look, yeah, I think coming up, obviously Tottenham don't have the greatest of runs, so if potentially, clean sheets might be an issue, I could switch to someone like Reece James once he comes back from his ban, or someone else in that Chelsea defence. I was looking at Romelu Lukaku this week. I did have him in my team. That would help. I would bring him in for Kane. So, but obviously with the injury cloud, that's a bit annoying. I was going to have him in because it's obviously a 1 million save on Kane. That would mean I could bring someone like Trent in over Robertson, so it would give me a little bit more flexibility. So the Chelsea one is a bit frustrating. I don't have any Chelsea players in, but I'm sure once it comes to the time, we'll get them in when it matters.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair point there. A front three of Ronaldo, Kane and Lukaku would be absolutely ridiculous. But, a lot of people would argue that Mikel Antonio is more valuable at the minute. But we'll move on now. Guru, we obviously won't go through your team. We'll save that more for Friday and the transfers you are making. But you have got another question. And this time, Bishwajit asks, which Man City asset should you pick for game week 4?
Look, I'm going to be biased because he's in my team, but I'm really liking Jack Grealish. He's got 2 returns in the last 2. He's looked good for England over this break. So I've got a good feeling about Jack Grealish in this coming game week. So I'll be looking at him. I think he's a guaranteed assist most weeks, and does get the odd goal. So I'm liking Jack Grealish.
Yeah, and obviously if the Guru is going to back him himself, then you'd like to hope that he would be a fairly astute pick. And we've got another question from Gaming Zone, and he asks, who is the best 5 million defender?
There is a lot. I would have said Reguilon, but I think he's gone up now, hasn't he, Ollie, in your side? He's about 5.1 or 5.2 now.
Right, for sure. He is... I've still got the share screen up. He is 5.2, so if you can get that extra 0.2 million, I'd go with him. But
I'd probably say I do like Soufal at West Ham. Saints away this week. I think they continue to have good fixtures as well. So Soufal's pretty good value. Usually gets an assist. Hasn't quite had the clean sheets yet, but he always gets those assist points. He's a goal threat. So I'd probably say Soufal's pretty good value at 5 mil.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly decent answer. A lot of people have slept on Soufal for the start of the season, but he's been a fairly decent asset for West Ham, especially last season. But we will move on to your team now, Statman, and I'm going to assume there's a fair bit of transfer activity happening with your team as well. So you just want to take us through, the transfers that you've made.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the wild card's been played. My start of the season's been a bit under par. I think I've had 2 weeks under the average, which I don't think I'd had 2 weeks in a row under the average all of last season, my first year of FPL. So decided it was time to rejig the team a little bit. So yeah, 7 changes in total. So especially focusing on the defensive end. So Martinez out for Lloris. And then basically a complete clean out of defenders. So Shaw out, Varane in, Tsimikas out, Reguilon to come in for him. Obviously, Tsimikas potentially losing his place is the main reason for that one. Target out for Christensen, White for Duffy, and then midfield, just Souček I wasn't going to move out, but needed to raise a little bit of cash to bring in Antonio into the forward line. So Souček out, Basuma in, and then Tony out for Antonio. So fair few changes. It's all about picking a team in form because the team I had certainly was not in form. So hopefully that can sort of turn things around a little bit for me and start me progressing back up the leagues rather than down the leagues.
Yeah, and it seems that if you've got Mikel Antonio in your team these days, Statman, that you seem to do pretty well and, usually get above the average. So was he a big part of you wanting to play your wild card? A lot of people, including myself, didn't choose to go with him at the start of the season, but he's definitely shut me and a lot of FPL managers up. So was he, sort of the reason that you wanted to play it a bit?
Look, to be honest, I had 2 trades up my sleeve, so I potentially was going to bring him in anyway. So I was probably, he was coming in regardless. And then when I realized how poor the rest of my team was, I thought, no, that's the time to bring it in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a fair shout for playing your wild card there. So we've got a 2 out of 2 for transfers so far that have played their wild card, and we'll go to you now, Reedy. Are you playing your wild card yourself?
No wild card for me, El. I'm sticking to my guns for this game week 4. I just want to, like the Guru says, find out what's happening on Friday with team news and updates and all these international situations. So I'll stick with it for now. I think I've got a pretty solid team. I could maybe make one more transfer, but I've already made my move for this week so far. So it's whether I take a hit. I did it last game week. It didn't really make a difference bringing Son in for Salah, because they pretty much would have got the same points with the captain. So yeah, I'm happy for now. I'm going to save that wild card for when I most need it, I think. And yeah.
And who is that transfer that you're alluding to, Reedy? Who's the man that you brought in this week?
Yeah, I thought that question might have been coming. So it is Gray for Everton. Brought in Gray, great value. Ollie's obviously put him in his wildcard team there. Last couple of game weeks, he's done well for them. And they've got Burnley, which is a great fixture for Everton, to be honest with you, as much as I don't like to say that. I think that they should be able to win comfortably. But on the other side of things, if they did get beat, I wouldn't be too thingy with it either. So, yeah, I've brought Gray in for who did it take out? I can't even think now. Whoever it took out anyway, it doesn't really matter, but Gray's the man now.
Damari Gray's in his team, game week 4. He's getting a hat-trick against, as the Dingles, as Ollie would call them. He's getting a hat-trick against Burnley. He's going to make a lot of FPL managers happy. I think that's a very good transfer. Obviously, as Dave said, you've got to pick your team on form, and he is a man on fire for the Toffees at the minute. That 1.5 million pickup, I think it was, from Rafa Benitez. Absolutely brilliant. He's looked a different player since coming back. He had a year out in the Bundesliga, but he's come back and he's firing on all cylinders for Everton. So I'm sure a lot of FPL managers have made the switch to get him in as well. And Jack, you're the final one that we've got to go through for transfers before we discuss the captain pick. So is there any transfer activity going on in your team this week?
There'll be a couple of moves going on, I think. But after seeing all his team, I'm going, wild card action. It's too tempting. But I think I'm going to bottle that one and not do it so early. I've kind of learnt my lesson from last year. Going to hold on to it, stick to a bit of a boring one, and just have one or two transfers at most. I think I'm going in between Ings out for Antonio or Bamford. Probably more with Antonio with his form. Probably going to go on him with they've got Richarlison in Lurk still on the pitch somehow, and Chris Wood still on the pitch. So see how they go in this next game against each other, and then whoever goes from there will be Bamford will be coming in, I think, from there. So, and I also need to get Target out as well, because he's in for an absolute hell of a ride the next 4 or 5 games, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of red for the Aston Villa assets in a lot of people's teams. So I understand the want to get Danny Ings out, but I'm sort of in a similar position to you. You've got 2 other strikers that aren't necessarily performing as well. So what do you sort of do? But it's almost like it's a showdown this week between Chris Wood and Richarlison. Whoever doesn't score is out of your team. So it'll be
that's it. Playing for the place in the team. That's it. Also, whoever survives, that can survive another week until that wild card comes in. Probably game week 7.
Yeah, and so you think game week 7 for your wild card, you can see it sort of approaching?
Yeah, I think so. The more the Guru tells me, the more it makes sense. So that's where I'm kind of swaying.
Well, you heard it. If you want any advice, it's you want to go to the FPL Guru, and he'll give you the best advice. Game week 7, Reece James, I think, was something that a lot of people have had drilled into their heads on the podcast recently, in the Chelsea fixture swing in game week 7. But before we discuss the captain picks, we've got another question from Gaming Zone Guru, and he says he has Ronaldo, Salah, and Trent. Should he need any more premium assets?
Well, that's a lot, isn't it? Probably not really. It depends. If he's bringing Ronaldo in just as a transfer, it doesn't sound like that's a wild card. He's just bringing Ronaldo in there. It's probably about enough for now. I don't think you need too many more. Ronaldo covers Bruno. Trent, it's like having a midfielder anyway. And then Salah is Salah. So probably doesn't need too many more than that. There's a lot of players in that mid-range that he can now purchase that are getting just as many points, if not more. Diego Jota, Antonio, who we've just mentioned, Ben Rama, probably have Calvert-Lewin over Kane right now as well. He's got some good fixtures coming up. So, probably don't need too many more premiums.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair shout. The premiums that you had listed as well, you'd like to hope that there's going to be an abundance of returns for them. But we'll move on to the captain picks now. So the players for game week 4 who you should be captaining in your team. And Ollie, you mentioned before that you're going with Ronaldo. You're pretty hell-bent on sticking it on CR7?
He's not going to start. So it's put a bit of doubt into my mind as that, but I think I'll go with him anyway. Probably, if not, probably put the vice potentially on Salah. I think against Leeds, he's got a decent track record, so I will go with Ronaldo. A little bit tentative after the rumours, but I think I'll stick with my guns, as Matt always says to do. So, if you're going to take advice from everyone, take advice from the guru. So I'm going to take a bit there and go with my gut, go with Ronaldo.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. And Dave, if you had to pick this week for your captain out of all the new players that you brought into your team with your wild card, who's getting the armband?
Probably at this stage, I'm going with Antonio away to Southampton. So he's probably the main selection at the moment. He's going to continue hitting, I think, and Southampton are probably not super strong. So hopefully he can bag a couple.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair shout as well. Reedy, who are you going with?
The obvious one is Bruno, isn't it? Bruno Fernandes. I know he's not probably been in the form that we're used to this season yet, but you look at that first game, he got that hat-trick. Everyone was happy with that for the first game week. Same with the Salah situation. But for me, I just can't get away from him. I'd like to go for a differential, like someone else, like Antonio's in my team. I could easily pick him. Good fixture for them against Southampton. But I don't know. I think Bruno's a guaranteed starter. That's what you've got to look at with your captain picks. And he's a penalty taker and he's a free kick taker. Ronaldo's come in, so whether he'll take the penalties off Bruno, I don't know. But if he doesn't start and United get a pen, Bruno's the man who's going to tuck it away. So I think it's got to be Bruno for me, just.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I've definitely tossed up between Bruno Fernandes and Mohamed Salah, but I'm fairly confident that I'll be going with the Egyptian king over the Portuguese and Bruno Fernandes as of now, but obviously that may be subject to change. But for now, I think it's going to be Salah for me. And Guru, are you going to double up on the Salah there, or are you going for something a little bit different?
At the moment, it's on Bruno, but I am waiting on the confirmation that Son is going to play, and it might change to him if I get the go-ahead that Son's going to play. So, but yeah, at the moment, it's on Bruno.
Yeah, and Jack, are you gonna argue with that, the Bruno Fernandes captaincy, or are you just going to agree and make it a 3 out of 6 there?
The captain's armband is on Bruno currently, so I'll leave it as that for the moment.
I think that's a fair shout. So it's nice. I was going to say, up to my captain pick, it was nice to see a little bit of a diverse, sort of couple of captain shouts. But Bruno does always reign supreme with these sort of things. But that's sort of our transfers and our captaincy shouts for this game week. Obviously, the Guru will go into a little bit more detail with that later on and on Friday's podcast. But that does wrap up this sort of preview section. So now, before we move on, I do want to just give a quick plug to our fantastic sponsor, Bonus Bank, who, as I'm sure you already know, are supporting us for the 2021 and 2022 season. Bonus Bank show you how to make guaranteed profit by taking advantage of bookmaker promotions from across every sport in the world, pretty much, and not just football. Members of our community have been using Bonus Bank's platform for free to receive bookie promotions and bonuses on the EPL in the last couple of game weeks. And the platform is free to join, but if you do want to unlock special features and go premium, make sure you use the code FPL Addicts to receive a 25% discount on your first month's membership and no lock-in contracts. So see the link in our caption for details, and it will show you how to make immediate profit. So now we move on to the guest section, and it's a very special guest section today. Welcome to Tanya Davis, and thank you very much for joining us. Tanya is a huge Man City supporter, as well as a Melbourne City supporter. No surprise there with their correlation with each other. Tanya, you've been fantastic, sort of as an ambassador for our Women's League and helping that sort of launch this season. So thank you very much for that. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's been a while since I've done something like this. You guys are all so profesh.
That's always nice to hear. But we will get right into it. And me and the Guru have just got a couple of questions for you, and we've actually got a little bit of a game later, the first ever time that we've done that. So we'll see how that goes. So I'll start. How long have you been playing FPL for, and what's your highest overall score?
So I've been playing for 9 years. Look, I love fantasy. I'm just a casual player. I think the highest score I've had was like 1,980. I'm always aiming for the under 1 million globally, but I haven't gotten there yet. Probably the highest my score overall was like 1.3 million-ish or something globally. So yeah, not outstanding.
I mean, it's a fairly decent score. You've always got to have your goals for each season, and 9 years, that's a lot longer than most people on the podcast. But if you had to review your game week 1 to game week 3 performance so far, how would you sort of rank that?
Absolute disaster. I think I'm only on 151 points. I based my first squad on players that kind of got me points last season. I made the mistake of also putting in Lukaku and made him my captain. He didn't even play. I also failed to choose a proper vice captain. I had Salah, who got double-digit figures without anything. So I decided to use my wild card for game week 2, just as a bit of a refresh. I don't mind using it early because we generally get another one later. Of course, that's the week I make Salah captain, and he didn't actually have a good round. You can't really make this up, really. I am also run a Man City supporter club here, and we usually have our own league, and the rule is no United players. I bought in Pogba. When I bought him in, nothing happened, so kind of shame on me.
It sounds like a fairly unfortunate start with a couple of the assets, but as you said, you've got to keep going and sort of working towards your goal for the season.
That's it. That's what I got to do.
Hi, Tanya. It's the Guru here.
Hi,
thanks so
Guru.
much for your support with growing our FPL Women's League. So it's great to have you on. Can you name 2 asset tips for the season so that you can just be players that you have to have your favourite players, ones that you're counting on, or just guaranteed FPL points? So, people like Salah or, De Bruyne.
I think De Bruyne is always a good one to have, although I don't have him. He's been injured. Salah as well is good to have, despite the fact that, he failed me that week. I made him captain. I think overall, it's good to load up on midfielders and kind of use just cheaper defenders and sometimes cheaper strikers. That's probably the biggest kind of tip that I can give, although I've not particularly followed it myself.
You sound like me. I'm the same. I'll give all these tips out and then never do them. So no, that's good advice. I agree on the I agree with the defenders. It's all about finding those budget defenders. So, nice one.
Thanks.
Definitely is what the Guru did a lot last season as well. He gave out a lot of advice, and I didn't end up following it, but he obviously did end up having a fairly decent finish. But Tanya, as I mentioned, you've really helped sort of be an ambassador for the launch of our women's mini the league this season. So, what's your favourite part of our little FPL Addicts community, and have you enjoyed being a part of it so far?
Absolutely. I really enjoy being in an all-female league. You guys also put some really good work out there on your socials as well to promote it. And we have quite a lot of women in that group. So I'm pretty happy with the outcome. Just got to see who's going to be the top gal.
Yeah, there was a lot. We went through it last week when we reviewed it, and there was a lot of people that if they'd been in the paid league, they'd definitely be up there near the top. So there was definitely a lot of good female representation from the women's league. So you're absolutely spot on there.
Absolutely, we do take our football seriously, us football girls.
So Tanya, what's your target for the FPL season, and then also what's your target in the FPL Addicts Women's Mini out of the 45 female managers? Obviously, it's really competitive in the league so far. So we've got Maya on 270 points. So can you win the league?
Okay, overall, I'm just going to follow my every year thing. I want to finish globally under 1 million. As far as the women's league goes, I don't know if has his first 3 rounds completely ruined me. I'm not sure, but I would like to finish in the top 10 if possible.
Yeah, so I think you can do. So I was so sorry. Like, so you could, I think in the women's league, like top 10 and top million in the world as well. Obviously, there's a lot of players playing FPL this year. I think there's 7 million plus, but there's some pretty good aims. So yeah, look, once De Bruyne comes back fit, you could be onto something once De Bruyne gets back fit. Put him in, captain him a few times. You never know.
Please God, someone just help me.
And it obviously is, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We said it so much last season, and we have said it a lot this season. It was, we're only 3 game weeks in, so really anything can happen. But as I mentioned before, we're going to try and play a little game now. It's sort of it's not exactly a stick or twist, but it's sort of a pick between. So you've got a 30-second countdown, and I've got five different questions for you. It's just a choice between 2 assets. So the idea is, the first thought that comes into your head is the one that you have to go with. So we'll start now. So Bruno Fernandes or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Fernandes. I think he'll set up more things.
Harry Kane or Romelu Lukaku?
Lukaku. Why not? He's back.
Luke Shaw or Aaron Cresswell?
Cresswell, because no, not sure.
Ivan Toney or Adam Armstrong?
Armstrong, why not?
Grealish or Ferran Torres?
Torres.
Ooh, that's a controversial one. The Ferran Torres had a great game week 3, didn't he? Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did. I think look, Grealish is still very early days, but we know Ferran has it in him. So yeah, I have to go with him.
Yeah, I think that's a very good shouts from you there, and a lot of very good picks. So thank you so much for joining us today, Tanya. You've been a fantastic guest for our Game Week 4 podcast, and you do a fair bit of content on Instagram. So where can people find you?
They can literally just find me on Instagram, which is Tanya_Davis.
Perfect. Well, there it is on the screen now as well. So if you are, fingers crossed, best of luck for the rest of the FPL season. Fingers crossed you finish below that 1 million mark. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, guys, and best of luck to you all too.
So now, if we move on to the Guru section, it's the information section of the podcast, as I like to describe it. Matt Day, he's going to do his thing, the FPL Guru. So I'll just let you take it away, Matt.
Thanks, Elliot. And look, as always, we're going to start with the differentials for the game week. So these are the ones owned below 10%. So I've got a few surprises this week, and I'm going to start with the last fixture of the round, ironically, Michael Keane from Everton against Burnley. He's 2.4% owned. He got a clean sheet last time out. Really, really liking his set piece threat. I think I heard a stat, funnily enough, which you wouldn't expect from Burnley, that they've let a lot of set pieces in. And, I think the last sort of 5 or 10 games, they've had quite a high volume of set pieces going against them. So Michael Keane's obviously a big threat there. So really liking him. Second one is another surprise, and it's going to be an Arsenal player this week. 1.2% ownership, and it's going to be Lacazette against Norwich. Look, Arsenal haven't started the season well, but I think they'll recover against Norwich and Burnley in the next couple. They're at home in this one too, and I think at 1.2% ownership, he's quite a good sort of swap out for Danny Ings if you are going to let Danny Ings go. So really liking the prospect of Lacazette in that one. A third one, he's been a bit of a controversial topic on this podcast a few times, but it's going to be Adama Traore against Watford, 2.7%. He's putting the ball on a plate for, the likes of Trincao and Jimenez lately, and they've just not been able to finish. And I think this could be the weekend that he provides us that assist and potentially that goal. And then my last one, I've obviously done it back to front here, but it's going to be someone that is in the first game of the week. And it's going to be a Tottenham player. It's going to be Lucas Moura against Palace. He's 1.2% owned. He's only 6.5 million in midfield. Bergwijn did pick up a knock for the Dutch team last night, so I think he's going to be out. Son's got potentially a strain, so he could be out as well. So I think Lucas Moura is going to be a really big differential this week. So definitely if you've got some space at 1.2%, what a great option he could be.
Yeah, the only issue with the Spurs assets is, these days they're only capped to 1 goal a game in the Premier League. So if Lucas Moura is going to get a return, it's got to be in that, the 1-0 win. They're going for the title with a plus 38 goal difference I saw somewhere. So it's worked for them so far. So best of luck to them. And I think Lucas Moura, as much as I like to make a joke, I think he is a very good option. He's always been one to, come away with those rare, massive hauls. So it's definitely a fair shout that it could be Crystal Palace this weekend. But you've got your captain picks now. I know we discussed a fair few of them later, but who have you gone with?
Yeah, look, I'll do the United double up first. Obviously, Fernandes. He was the reason at the start when I was sort of tossing up between Bruno or Bruno. This was the fixture I had my eyes on. So definitely Bruno Fernandes. Ronaldo, of course, potentially going to make his debut if he gets the start. And then Salah as well. I think for Liverpool, always good on the break. He's good in every fixture, but I think this is going to be an open game. Leeds like to attack. Salah will get a lot of spaces and chances to score. Harry Kane against Palace scores in pretty much every London derby. So, yeah, great captain choice. And then if fit, it's got to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin at home to Burnley. He's scored in every game this season. He's taken pens. So if he's fit and he's in your team, then I think he's a really good shout too.
Yeah, and who have you gone with your curveball captain for the week then, Guru?
I think curveball is going to be Raul Jimenez for me this week.
Yeah, so what's your sort of thought process behind that? He hasn't managed to get off the mark this season yet for Wolves, but he's obviously been a cult hero in Fantasy League for a couple of seasons now. So you're just hoping that he gets back to the numbers that he was hitting before.
Yeah, look, I think obviously this one does count on whether or not he gets back in time from the Mexico games. But just from what I've seen of Wolves this season, I've been very unlucky in every game. He's had a lot of chances, and I just think he's just due that goal, and it could be this weekend. So he's dropped down in price to 7.4 as well. So I think he's going to punish those sellers that did decide to sell him and obviously knock his price down. So liking his fixtures. I'm liking this fixture as well.
Yeah, and just before we move on to the fixtures and the teams to back, we do have a comment from UTFR United, and it's a hefty one. And he says thoughts on his wildcard team. He's got Sanchez, Trent, Duffy, Shaw, Salah, Jota, Son, Rafinha, Antonio, Dennis, and Ronaldo. So share some insight on your thoughts on that team, Guru.
Yeah, it's a cracking team. I think having Trent and Salah in there is perfect because they've got really good fixtures coming up. Antonio speaks for himself. Getting on Ronaldo early. Why not if you've got that confidence? Probably only one just from looking at it that I'm not sure on is Duffy long term. Veltman's back now. I think there's a couple of others in there, maybe Dan Burn. There's a couple of other Brighton defenders. I think Lamptey's going to come back. The formation might change. So probably wouldn't be so sure on him long term. But when you bench at 4 million, why not? And also, I think you had Jota in there. Was Jota in there as well?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. So, really good team. Sanchez, 4.5 mil in goal. Good choice. Pretty steady keeper. Will get clean sheets along the way. But, yeah, I'd probably be between him and Backman from Watford for me. But, good side.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to your Guru section now. So your 3 big FPL fixtures. Again, we did touch on a couple of fixtures at the beginning of the podcast, but which are the main 3 for you?
Yeah, in terms of FPL, I think the main one is obviously Man United versus Newcastle because, we're all just waiting to see Ronaldo come back to, the Premier League, back to Fantasy Premier League. Obviously seeing if he starts against the pretty poor Newcastle side at the moment. And then you've got Bruno in there, and I think everyone's intrigued to see how he looks with Ronaldo. So definitely that one. Second one, I'm going to put down Chelsea v Villa purely if Lukaku's fit. So if Lukaku's fit, I think that's another big FPL fixture, because I know a lot of people have taken hits or used wildcards to fit him in. And then my last one for FPL, definitely Leeds v Liverpool. You've got Salah in there, you've got Trent in there, Jota, Bamford, Rafinha. So I think that's a huge fixture for Fantasy League this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to wrap the Guru section off, because we do have the Scout 11 on the podcast on Friday. So if you've joined just to listen to the Scout 11, I do apologise. You will have to catch myself and the Guru live 6:15 Melbourne time on Friday night for that. But your 3 teams to back for this week, Guru. Who are they?
I'm going to back Man United against Newcastle. Obvious reasons, Elliot. Yeah, I think obvious reasons there. Not so much for Man United's form, more so just for how bad Newcastle have been. And then the next 2, I'm going to pick the current worst team in North London, Arsenal, against Norwich, because I think Arsenal are going to bounce back in this next couple. And I like that fixture. I think, Norwich have conceded goals in every game. And I think Arsenal at home, I think it's a good fixture for them, regardless of how bad they've been. And then I think I'll back Spurs this week at Palace. Early game, hopefully get one over on Patrick Vieira. Harry Kane's back, so that's my 3 teams this week.
Yeah, it's a very good Guru section. A lot of good insight that I'm sure a lot of managers will definitely appreciate out there. So thank you very much for your time, Guru.
FPL Addicts are delighted to be bringing you the Champions League Fantasy Football. You can register your team now and create your squad. Head to bit.ly/FPL Addicts UCL.
What an introduction every single time. What an introduction. What a transition. As we mentioned, I think it was a week ago now, UCL Fantasy Football is now live, and there's less than 1 week until kickoff. So there's a lot of draft teams flying around in our Discord server. We've got a certain section of the Discord server just dedicated to all the UCL fantasy fanatics. We know Pizza Boy loves it himself. So he's definitely on there giving out a lot of advice to people. So, you've definitely got to get involved and make sure you're dropping your team in the Discord as well, and you can get your team rated. But we do have our free mini and our paid mini. The free mini code is 80DVZL5S06. And all the information for all that is also on our website, and you can find it in the caption below, whether you're listening or watching along. The paid mini is 10 Aussie dollars to join and has $250 worth of cash pool prizes to be won. But because we're so excited for the Champions League, all the 2 fans on the podcast that we've got whose team is actually playing in the Champions League, we do have a little game week 1, match day 1, whatever you want to call it, predictor. So we're going to go through all the fixtures fairly quickly. I will have to sort of rush you for an answer because there is a fair few, and I'll just ask you for the results in each game. So we'll start with you, Jack. Your team, Man United, playing against Young Boys. How's that one going to pan out?
I'll take that 4-0, Elliot. I love that.
4-0 to Man United. I'm not going to argue with that one at all, mate. Not going to argue at all. Statman, Sevilla versus RB Salzburg.
I've got 1-0 Sevilla.
1-0 Sevilla. That's another good pick, I think. Probably sways in the way of Sevilla. And as you can see, it has the popular predictions, and 13% of people who have done this also agree with you. Ollie, you get Dinamo Kiev and Benfica. So who are you going with there, mate?
Watch the game week. This I'm gonna go 2-1 Benfica.
2-1 Benfica. Oof. All your favourite Benfica assets doing the bits for you in your Champions League fantasy, Ollie.
I don't know if I've got any in my team at the moment, but I might have to have a look at it. Looks like a winnable game for them. I know they're away from home, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and the game of the week probably, Reedy, you get the pick between Barcelona and Bayern Munich. You do get that choice. I'm sorry, Guru, if you are a little bit disappointed. You do get Lille and Wolfsburg just after this. But Reedy, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, how's this one panning out?
Oh, we love it, don't we? We love those type of big clashes, So I'll go for Bayern win. I think it'll be a 3-1 Bayern Munich.
Robert Lewandowski with all 3?
Probably.
And I think he's a fairly essential asset for a lot of people to have in their team. So, Guru, you do get another, really exciting fixture for this week. Lille against Wolfsburg. How's this one going?
Look, I've got some faith in Wolfsburg in this comp and in this group, so I'm going to back 1-0 to Wolfsburg.
1-0 to Wolfsburg. Lille coming away. Yilmaz, a lot of people had him in their Euro fantasy teams. He's definitely, according to the Guru, not going to be scoring in this match day one. Jack, we're back to you. It's Malmo against Juventus. I know they're without CR7 these days, but, are Malmo going to be able to do anything against the Italian giants?
No, I don't think so. I think they're probably obviously the weaker team in the group. So let's just go with, I think, 2-0 Juventus.
2-0 Juventus, and I think a lot of people will be going with Chiesa for this fixture. He obviously lit the Euros up for Italy. Is he going to be one? Do you think is going to be in your team?
He's a nice asset. I think he's sitting around 9 mil in there, so he's still quite a premium asset to have. But he did light up the Euros, didn't he?
He absolutely did. And Statman, you get familiar boys Chelsea against Zenit. How's that one going?
I'm going to say Chelsea 3-0. They'll probably get a few goals early and then back off the pedal in the second half.
It's a very safe prediction, I think, there as well. Ollie, you get Villarreal and Atalanta. How's that one going?
I'm actually looking forward to this, to be fair. On a prediction, that's going to be a tough one to call, I reckon. I'm going to go Villarreal home win. 2-1, just
2-1. Unai Emery masterclass.
Yeah, I could see that going either way. To be fair, Atalanta are a decent side, and they usually do all right in the Champions League. So, I wouldn't be too surprised seeing Atalanta win it, but just home advantage. I think for Villarreal takes them over the line.
It's a fair call, and another one of the enthralling fixtures here for you, Reedy. You did get Barcelona Bayern before, so I think it's only fair that you have to pick between Sheriff and Shakhtar Donetsk. So, who are you going with?
Couldn't even call this one. I don't have a clue. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, based on previous Champions League or Europa League, Shakhtar seem like the obvious pick. So I'm going to go for a 4-0 Shakhtar.
4-0 Shakhtar Donetsk. Coming back to it's going to be an interesting one to see how that one pans out. But Besiktas against Dortmund, Guru. There's going to be a lot of people with Haaland in. I think he is the essential asset in this game. Is he going to enjoy his match week 1 against Besiktas?
I think he'll definitely bag. Going to Turkey is tough though. I'll go 2-1 Dortmund.
2-1 Dortmund. So no faith in Dortmund to keep a clean sheet in this one, Guru?
Nah, not in Turkey. I think those hostile crowds, and I'll back Besiktas to score at home.
Yeah, it's a fair call. And Jack, you get the choice between Sporting and Ajax. I know a lot of people that have also gone with a fair few Ajax assets. Their group isn't necessarily the most difficult in the world. So are they going to be rejoiced in this game with an Ajax return?
Ball draw this one, Elliot. I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Okay, that's an interesting shout. And then, if you want to talk about board draws, we've got Atletico Madrid next, Statman Dave against Porto. I actually think this one might actually be a fairly decent game as well. But how do you see this one panning out?
I've actually seen both of these two teams at home when I was over in Europe, and I'm going to say Atletico 2-1, I think.
2-1. I think that's probably what I would have gone with as well. And into the final four, Ollie, Club Brugge against PSG. How's that one going?
It's not a question of how's it going. It's a question of how many. That could be a cricket score, this. I'll say 4-0 to PSG.
4-0. Lionel Messi with all of them?
No, but he'll score. I don't think he'll get all 4, but I think he'll feature on the score sheet.
And is he one that's going to be in your UCL fantasy team, do you reckon?
I haven't checked in a while. He probably will be by the start of match week 1. Obviously, we know what he's like. Great player. He should be fine getting into that PSG team. He's the best player in the world. So I think he will be. Yeah, mate.
I'm sick of these mind games, mate. You know, saying, I haven't checked my team in a while, not sure what I'm doing. It's absolute rubbish. He's on it all day, every day. I can tell you that for everyone watching. He is always on it. So don't listen to a word that this man says. But we'll move on to Man City Leipzig. And I will have to ask you for this one, Guru, because I want to save the next one for the resident Liverpool fan. So Man City Leipzig, it's the money derby, this one, I think a lot of people would call it. So how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I'm with you. I've not got much interest in this fixture, but I'll go 3-1 to Man City.
That is the most popular prediction as well, with 28 people also agreeing with you. And then Reedy, Liverpool against AC Milan. It's one of the classics in football. You know, how is this one going to be similar again for Liverpool?
Oh, it's been a minute, hasn't it? It's hard to call these days because Milan, you know, they haven't got those absolute legends that they once had. I think we've got enough in the locker now, having the fans back. So I don't think it'll be 4-1 to Milan, as Jack says. I think you're more looking at close-ish game, but I think we'll win it 2-0.
2-0 Liverpool. I think that's a very fair shout as well. I think, as you said, AC Milan definitely not the team that they were back in that night in Istanbul. But Jack, the final one, Inter Milan against Real Madrid, another one which I think is going to be an absolutely cracking game. How can you see this one going?
Yeah, both teams look like they might cancel each other out as well, won't they? But I'm hoping for a few goals, so let's go a draw and 2-2. 2-2.
All right. Brilliant. So that is our predictions for match week 1. I won't review them all because there are way too many to name. And, you know, it's obviously quite exciting. UCL Fantasy, it's the first time that we've launched it. So, you know, you've absolutely got to get yourself involved. Guru, as we've always said, you build your team, a couple of game weeks, and then you don't have to think about it till August. So are you excited for this?
I can't wait. During this international break, I've literally been on that app most days, I've changed my team about 4 or 5 times. It's a bit different to FPL. You know, FPL, I kind of keep my team at the start and then change it right at the last minute. And this one, I've been changing most days. Yeah, really excited for it. So, yeah, some really, really big players. And obviously, we'll talk about that a bit more of that on Friday. I'll do my team reveal then.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, fingers crossed the app doesn't break or anything like it did for Ollie in the Euros when it all started to fall apart for him. We just had to get that one in there. As he says, he hasn't really checked his team. But that is all that we do have time for today. So thank you very much for listening and watching along. That brings us to the end of the Game Week 4 preview show. As Matt's just alluded to, myself and him will be back live on Friday, 6:15 Melbourne time, 9:15 UK time, to go through his UCL fantasy team and bring along any final questions that you do also have for Game Week 4. And then myself and Ollie will be there on the weekend for the early kickoff watch along between Crystal Palace and Spurs. So until then, may all your FPL dreams come true in Game Week 4. Take care, stay safe. Bye for now.